For the first time, we are going to be able to do in-season playoff predictions for a 12-team playoff. This is going to be a lot of fun. We'll go through each week of the season and, again, give updated playoff predictions. It's possible that I might skip some weeks if I really just haven't made any changes. I wanted to at least get a couple of weeks in before I did an in-season video. And, yeah, we've made a lot of changes from the preseason already. I would, well, not really as many as you might think, but we have made some changes. So yeah, let's just jump right in, and I'm going to give you my updated predictions. Again, we're only 2 weeks into the season. This is week 3 coming up, so don't want to overreact too much, but I do definitely feel like some things have changed. So let's start with our conference champions, Power 4 conference champions. This has not changed. Georgia, Ohio State, Miami, and Utah. This is my preseason prediction, and I'm not changing it. I've got Georgia losing one game. Actually, now that I'm looking at this, I would want to switch Georgia and Ohio State because starting to feel more like Ohio State's going to go 12-0. I want to see them play a better team before I'm ready to say that they will go 12-0. Georgia might go 12-0. So yeah, I don't want to get into the specifics of predicting every game of the rest of the season every single week. But I see those teams being 1-2. Maybe both teams lose one game. Maybe both teams go undefeated. But I think that's where they wind up. I still think Miami's going to win the ACC. I feel even better about that pick now. And I think Utah wins the Big 12. I like the way their schedule sets up, and I think they're able to get there. Probably lose a couple of games along the way, but I think they will be that other Power 4 champion. So then we go to the Group of 5 champion. I think that's going to be Boise State. So I had Memphis in the preseason. Want to see how they play against Florida State. Maybe I should have waited until that game before I made a change. But I was really impressed with Boise State against Oregon. Had a real chance to win that game. I think that the committee will look at that and say, you know, even though they lost, look, they played a really good team, really close, assuming Oregon doesn't fall apart the rest of the season. I know they've struggled so far. If Memphis beats Florida State, though, they would have a win over a Power 4 team. The problem is Florida State is looking terrible, so I don't know how that's going to play out if we see Boise State and Memphis maybe win their conference championships. Both teams have the same amount of losses. That'll be really interesting. But yeah, Boise State at number 12 for me. I'm going to make a change up there. And then let's get to the other at-large teams. At number 5, I'm going Texas. I think Texas probably loses one game, maybe. And then I think they get to the SEC Championship and lose to Georgia. Maybe they beat Georgia in the regular season and then lose in the SEC Championship. I could see that happening. I think my preseason prediction was for Georgia to lose to Ole Miss, but beat Texas. But again, I don't want to get into the specifics of every single game at this point. So Texas, my number 5 team, and number 6 team is Ole Miss. I think these two teams are going to do really well this season. Both teams 10-2 or 11-1 right there. You know, it'll be interesting to see what if Texas goes to the SEC Championship. Ole Miss is right behind them. Texas loses. Would Texas then drop below Ole Miss? Would Ole Miss jump up to 5 or vice versa if you flip those teams around? That'll be interesting. But yeah, I'm going to go Texas, Ole Miss, 5 and 6. Really not a lot of change here. We got USC. So here's a big change. USC up to number 7. I think this team can absolutely get to 10-2. Maybe even better than that. Michigan is a game I had that. I figured that was a law. I mean, I didn't really think about it. I thought they're not going to go into Michigan and win against that defense. Now I think I'd probably take USC to win that game. Penn State, that's a game that they could win. This is just a team that's a lot better than I expected them to be. And we knew with the coaching staff changes, especially or the changes on defense, that they could turn this thing around. But it's one of those where you just have to see it to believe it. I've overhyped USC pretty much every year, so I was hesitant to pick them to do really well this year. But now I think that they will. And I think they're going to get an at-large spot. The number 8 team, I've got Clemson. Look, preseason, I picked Clemson to lose to Georgia and win the rest of their games. I think that could absolutely happen. You look at their schedule. Florida State doesn't look so tough. Virginia Tech doesn't look so tough. South Carolina, that one might be a little tricky. It's a rivalry game. I think there's a real good chance that Clemson goes 11-1, but I still think they would then lose to Miami in the ACC Championship. So that's going to drop them down to number 8. And then we go to number 9. That's Tennessee. The Vols look great against NC State. I think that the winner of Tennessee and Alabama is going to be in the college football playoff, and I think the loser probably gets left out. So that's where I'm at on those two teams. Right now I'm leaning Tennessee. If I were to flip that around, then I think Alabama probably winds up in this spot. But yeah, just say Tennessee or Alabama at number 9. That game is going to be huge when they play. Number 10 is Penn State. So we would have a rematch here. And I don't think there's really a way to that's something we're gonna have to wait and see. Is the committee going to change teams rankings around to try to avoid rematches in the first round like they do in college basketball? I don't think that I mean, that's not what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to just rank the teams, but that would be interesting. We'll see what they do there. And then finally, number 11, the final at-large team is Oregon. So I think Oregon still can get to 10-2. I'm not as high on this team. I had them 11-1 and go into the Big Ten Championship in the preseason. Now, they've just been shaky so far. So I think they slip up and lose a couple of games, but it's still enough to get them in there at number 11. So they're the final at-large team. And then, we'll just go through and do some predictions here as to how it would play out. I think Tennessee beats Clemson. I think they'd be a better team in this matchup. That'd be a good one. I think Clemson, if they can play like they played against App State, would have a chance in this game. But that was one game. I'm not going to overreact too much to that, especially after we saw them struggle against Georgia. I think Texas beats Boise State. That one shouldn't be all that close. And then we've got USC Penn State, a rematch from the regular season. USC gets them at home in the regular season, so you have to favor USC there. But Penn State, again, which Penn State are we going to get? Are we going to get the one that played West Virginia, the one that played Bowling Green? It's just something we don't know, and that's why it's kind of dumb to really even make these predictions at this point. We need to get a couple of games further into the season, but it's a fun video to do. So I'm going to say that USC wins this game. I think they're the better team. Maybe Penn State wins in the regular season, USC wins in the playoff, but I'm going to go Trojans there. And then we'd have Ole Miss, Oregon. Oregon is, again, a team that's hard to figure out right now. Like, are they just missing Bo Nix? Is that the problem? Or is it, some of the changes, the coaching staff? What's going on with Oregon? I don't think we really have an answer right now. It's a team that could live up to their potential and be really, really good at the end of the season, or they could struggle and, have a lot of close games but still get to the playoff. I'm going to go with Ole Miss. I trust the Rebels a little bit more. I really like what Lane Kiffin has built there. Would love to see them play a quality opponent. And then maybe we'll have a better idea of just how good this Ole Miss team is. So now we go to Georgia, Tennessee, a rematch from the regular season. The matchup here, Georgia's defense, I think, can counter that explosive Tennessee offense. I like Georgia to win this game, probably for the second time. And then Texas, Utah. I think, look, Texas is really good, and I think they showed that against Michigan. I think they would win this game. I think they would actually probably win their first two games here by double digits. And then Ohio State, USC, a great game here, probably a rematch for the Big Ten Championship. Got to go with the Buckeyes here. I think they win it again, and they advance. And then Ole Miss, Miami. This one is tricky. Miami has upgraded their roster, and their talent has been getting better and better, but I just, I know Ole Miss hasn't been to the playoff, but they've been in more big games. I trust Lane Kiffin to get it done. Mario Cristobal finally getting Miami into a big game like this. Getting there, that's a good first step, but winning, I think that's going to be tough. I'm going to go Ole Miss. So that gives us 3 SEC teams in the Final Four, which I think is very possible. Georgia, Texas should be a great one, potentially for the third time. I trust Kirby Smart in these big games. Going to go with Georgia there. And then Ohio State, Ole Miss. I just think this Ohio State team, they're all in on this season. I think their defense and how good they are there. I think Will Howard is going to do great for them at quarterback. I like Ohio State to win here. And I did not make a graphic. I forgot to make the graphic for the championship. But I'm sticking with Ohio State for my national champion as of right now. Georgia has looked a little better. They impressed me a little bit more with what they did against Clemson. It's early, though, and I don't want to change my national champion pick just yet. We stuck with Michigan all last season, even at times maybe you thought about switching that up, and again, Michigan was able to get it done. So I'm going to stick with Ohio State for now, and again, as we get a little bit further into the season, I could definitely see myself switching over to Georgia, maybe even Texas. Those are the 3 teams for me that I really think can win it all right now. But I think there are other teams that could potentially be on my radar as well. So those are my updated playoff predictions heading into week 3. What are your predictions? Who do you think is going to win it all as of right now? Let me know down in the comments below.